A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Liolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, we discuss all things English Premier League title race. So, we are having a look at three teams. Fortunately, if one of your teams is not these three teams, sorry, but it's the truth. They're not in the title race. Accept it. So the three teams that we're looking at Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester City. I'm joined by a returning guest. He goes by the name of Fenzo. How are you doing, bro?
I'm good.
Lovely to have you back. So, Fenzo, let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. So, they normally say that around Christmas time, well, at Christmas, whoever's on top of the table would normally go on to win the league. Of course, there are a few exceptions here and there. But having a look then at this title race between these three teams, what do you make of it?
I think it's quite the Premier League title race. At least it's usually been two teams, but now Chelsea has decided to add itself into the mix, making it three. We've been used to the two teams, except last season, but over the past, you're talking 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, we're talking two teams, Liverpool and Manchester City. They have been the benchmark, and it's nice to see Chelsea also joining in terms of as being the third team in this title race. But yeah, it's an exciting one as always.
Yeah.
The Prem never fails to disappoint.
Yeah, definitely. So you touched on Chelsea, which is something I'd like us to head into. So when we have a look at Chelsea, the man, Thomas Tuchel, what do you make of Thomas Tuchel, the tactician, and what he has brought to this Chelsea side, considering how we do know how things ended off with Lampard. He took over Thomas Tuchel and he went on to win the UEFA Champions League. But now we're seeing him properly because he's now in his first full season with the Blues. What have you made of his time so far?
I think he has been an exceptional appointment for Chelsea. I think the best appointment that they could have had, especially during the season. I think they got extremely lucky to have such a quality appointment. A prime example being that Champions League win in May, actually, the 29th of May, in the Champions League final. Because at the beginning, if you're being honest, at the time of the Champions League draw, it was predicted that Chelsea wouldn't, most people had even said that Chelsea wouldn't even make it past the round of 16, and to go on and to win it, defeating quality opposition in terms of the Atletico Madrid. You're talking about Real Madrid in the final and Real Madrid in the semi-final, and then Manchester City in the final, shows that he is someone who knows. And I think his ability to have adjusted that fast and bring in a team and get a system that works for the whole team, I think that is something. And I think he has cemented himself as indeed one of the best managers in the world.
Yeah, so when we have a look at Thomas Tuchel, I think, well, from a sense of humor perspective, I think it was a great appointment because I call him the 18-month contraceptive because that's normally how long he lasts. So Roman Abramovich, Thomas Tuchel, and Chelsea, we all know. We all know. So Thomas Tuchel, the perfect appointment, However, you would, of course, like for him to go on and build something with regards to longevity. And yes. I've been quite impressed with him, especially considering how he's been able then to impose his game model so quickly and how the players have taken to it as well. And how difficult it's been for teams to actually break down Chelsea. Yes, of course, in the past few weeks, it hasn't been the best of performances, but if we have to look at his tenure holistically with regards to the month that he has been there, I think it's been quite exceptional, Also considering how well he's done against your Pep Guardiola, how well done against your Jurgen Klopp as well, because when it comes to the English Premier League, we're not just pitting the teams up against each other, but you're also then pitting the coaches up against each other by virtue of the fact that they are master tacticians and they're brilliant minds as well. So I've quite enjoyed how he's taken to life in London and how he's made Chelsea a very difficult team to play against, I just think that going forward, there's just a couple of things to tweak and a couple of things just to work on, just to make sure that they go back to being tight, because we do know that in the past couple of weeks they have conceded quite a number of goals, and goals which are uncharacteristic, of a Thomas Tuchel side and what they're trying to do. And speaking of a Thomas Tuchel side, which are some of the players that you've been impressed with within this Chelsea side, and what do you make of the squad overall?
I think players that I've been impressed with, I think Mason Mount.
Yeah.
Mason Mount is one of the first players. I think especially after that rocky start to the season where we had the fatigue from playing a lot of games last season, I think he has come on leaps and bounds. You see it in the stats, you see it in the performance. I think he's been one of the bright sparks in sometimes not that impressive performances. You're looking at in terms of centre back. You're looking at Thiago Silva, the veteran, 37-year-old, but still doing it in the Prem. Personally, I think top 5 centre backs in the league. Even though you might say that him playing in a back three helps him protect him in terms of his pace and stuff, but I still think that even though he's being protected in that way, but the performances that he puts in week and week out is still exceptional. You're talking about your two fullbacks, Reece James and Chilwell, who've been actually the top goal scorers for the Chelsea team this season. So it's actually been something different that your wing backs are a part of your top goal scorers, and they've been so essential in terms of the way the team attack. And sometimes, as Tuchel say, that they sometimes come into midfield and become midfielders. So I think they've been essential to the system and how the system operates. And someone obviously hasn't had the best in terms of the last few weeks. He hasn't had the best few weeks, but Edouard Mendy for the first about, I think 10 to 12 game weeks of the season was simply exceptional. I think at the time best goalkeeper in the Premier League if you're talking about form this season, but obviously now it's a bit sticky. And then you're talking about also someone who got injured quite earlier on, but for like 5 to 8 game weeks, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. You're talking about Kovacic for this season specifically. Kovacic was absolutely exceptional in that midfield, but yeah, injury happened, and I think those are the few players that I think have impressed me.
Okay, so when we have a look at it, then you brought up a word, and you said sticky, and which is something we've seen with Chelsea. Where do you think the problem is with regards to Chelsea's lackluster performances in recent weeks, and how do you think they go about solving that conundrum?
I think it's been in specific positions, namely the left wing back position and the midfield position, because especially the midfield and the wing backs being able to being, as Tuchel sometimes says, they come in and drift in midfield, and I think those wing backs have the midfielders have been exceptional, because the midfielders in terms of are the most important component in Thomas Tuchel's team, especially this Chelsea team, because now if your midfield becomes open, it also forces centre backs to go out of position, and it just causes carnage. And because they are the hub, they the ones that link midfield and attack, they are so important and vital. Hence why you have players like you had Kante and Jorginho, the Kante and Jorginho partnership, and also the Jorginho and Kovacic partnership. But in recent times, Kovacic has not been available, Kante has not been available, and then you have Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek, and the reason that they are not an effective partnership is because we know Jorginho is not the fastest player on the ball, and Jorginho, in terms of his defensive capabilities, is not really essentially that strong. I think he's someone that is there for his ability as a register, as they said in the Italian phrase. He's someone that is there essential for ball progression, someone who's able to dictate tempo and play. He has never really been that solid defensively, but he has been helped by having someone like Kante, who just runs everywhere in the midfield. And even if you don't have a Kante, you have someone like Kovacic, who's also able to dribble out of certain situations, who is able to also help him pass, and sometimes they just dictate tempo in terms of deep midfield. But then you have Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek is mainly an attacking midfielder. He loves just attacking, and now when he kills you defensively, because now he leaves open his side, and also leaves Jorginho defensively exposed, and now it becomes a problem where your left backs, your centre backs, especially the outside centre backs, have to come in and make up for those penalties, and help in midfield and get those balls, and that causes carnage, because now they leave their spaces, and then they become that space behind the left wing backs and right centre backs, and teams are often able to play there. Hence why I sometimes say that the Chelsea midfield is just the N1. It's just the N1 in terms of teams are able to play freely, because once you kill that midfield, you kill everything, because now players have to go out of position, and it just causes complete carnage.
So, in simple words, Kante must come back alongside Jorginho.
Yeah, and Kovacic.
Yeah. All right, so let's move it on then. So, from one German tactician to another who goes by the name of Jurgen Klopp. The first things we think when we think of Jurgen Klopp then is gegenpressing, heavy metal football, rock and roll, fast-paced football. And yes, so this is a man then who I've admired for a very long time, and I felt that he's brought the much-needed competition to Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola has even gone as far as saying that Jurgen Klopp is a man who has kept him on his toes in the English Premier League by virtue of the fact that he's run him close so many times, you know. And when we have a look at Liverpool, Liverpool have been doing really well when it comes to scoring goals. They're scoring lots of goals. They're playing at a very high intensity. What do you make of Jurgen Klopp and the work that he's done at Liverpool this season so far?
I think Jurgen Klopp is one of the best managers in the world. Absolutely, the man that can work absolute wonders with a budget. I think one of the best coaches out there, and I think he's, in terms of his Liverpool side this season, I never expected such a brilliant performance. I think I'd expected that Liverpool are still going to do good, but I didn't expect that they will come back so hard, because especially after that down season last season, but they've come back looking almost at their best. Some people even say that they're at the best that they've ever been. I tend to disagree a bit here and there with that statement, but certainly they're back to their best levels, one of their best levels.
Yeah, definitely. And I've just been very impressed with regards to how he's been able to manage the players as well. In the beginning of the season, we did see him introduce Harvey Elliott. And yeah, man, I was thoroughly impressed with regards to how he used him. And also then how he's able to get the best out of players, you know, and how he's able to inspire the players as well. So I've been thoroughly impressed with that. But then when we have a look at the squad, which players then do you look at and think, okay, these players are really great for Liverpool and have had a great season and could be key then in ensuring that Liverpool go as far as winning this league title?
I think first and foremost, currently for all my money, the best player in the whole world, if you're talking about the beginning of the 21-22 season, the Egyptian king Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
Simply outstanding, simply exceptional. I think the last time I read he had 22 goal contributions in 16 games in the league. I think yes, that was the last time I checked. And he's just simply been unplayable, simply exceptional at times, just being everything Liverpool needs. I think he's just hitting so much. He's just doing everything for that Liverpool side in terms of his finishing. And also he's also turned into a bit more of a creative hub. He's also been able to create opportunities for a few players this season. Sometimes people have criticized him at times and say that he's only a finisher, can't assist, can't help in overall play. But I've seen him and he has been absolutely outstanding. You're talking about the hub of the team. I think personally, I've had arguments with people, but I just feel that this man is the best right back in the world, in the whole world, and that is Trent Alexander-Arnold. And you know why I say that is because I personally think I actually don't think, especially in that prime time, that this Liverpool system functions the way it is without Trent. Because I think Trent is the hub of that side. There's a reason why many people have asked, why don't Liverpool play creative midfielders? Why don't Liverpool? They have midfielders who are good, but they are not really that creative. We don't have that number 10, that person who pushes forward. And I think it's because Trent is creativity from deep. He's just able to do everything. That right flank, he also dips into midfield sometimes. It's just that exceptional that I think he gives that Liverpool system what it needs.
Yeah.
He gives that Liverpool system what it needs. Sometimes people might laugh at it, might criticize his defensive frailties, but I think the modern fullback always evolves, and I think hence why I believe Trent Alexander-Arnold, even though defensively at times, it is not really the best, but he's still solid defensively.
Yeah.
You can't play right back in a big team such as Liverpool without being a solid defender, and I think hence why I put him as the best right back.
I think it boils down to the fact that they don't see him making slight tackles all the time, like another man in Manchester. But yes, man, he's been absolutely phenomenal, and how then he's just redefining that role of a right back and the positions that he picks up. This is a man then who's able to assume a sort of a deep laying playmaker. Whenever he would drift into this half space, he can play crosses from there. He can go wide and deliver a cross. He can play a cross from there. We've seen him just in this position. We've seen him just angle a beautiful ball into a Sadio Mane. This is a player then who occupies the whole right-hand side with regards to vertical zone 5 and vertical zone 4 with regards to the half space and the wide channel. And he's been doing very, very well for this Liverpool side. Mohamed Salah, it goes without saying, man, I think he's the best footballer in the world currently. And I think these two are very important to ensuring that Liverpool can go on and win. The biggest qualm, though, is Mohamed Salah going off to the AFCON. And I think this is what's going to derail Liverpool's plans. And this is why I think that they will struggle when it comes to that period, Also with Sadio Mane as well, You take Sadio Mane out, you take Mohamed Salah out. Yeah, it's just not the same. When you look at that front three, you're looking, it's tough because you're looking at Firmino, you're looking at Jota, you're looking at Origi, and you're looking at Oxlade, and they don't really have that much strength and depth with regards to the quality, That's the only qualm. But otherwise, so far so good by Liverpool. I think they're doing really well. And then we move it on then from Liverpool. From Merseyside, we then go to Manchester. So, the blue side, guys, not the red side. So, with regards then to Manchester City, so Pep Guardiola came to England. There was a lot of doubts, a lot of naysayers that he couldn't really crack it within the English Premier League by virtue of the fact that his style then would just be overrun and wouldn't be able to handle the intensity of the English Premier League. But he's proven otherwise in the past couple of years, and this season alone, without a recognized number 9. Yes, we do acknowledge Jesus, but Jesus does sometimes drift to the right-hand side. But when you have a look at Pep Guardiola and how he keeps reinventing the wheel and how then he's always able then to ensure that he's tactically versatile, however, he always retains fundamental nuances and principles of his style of play. What do you make of Pep Guardiola?
Josep Guardiola is Salah. I think personally, I think I tweeted earlier on in the morning, and I'm like, there's a reason why I regard him as personally the best manager to ever do it, and I think he will soon be. I think he's well on his way to being regarded that by a majority of people. I just love Pep, and he's also, as you said, his ability to reinvent himself. Yes, he keeps the same core principle of his football, but he reinvents it to different countries, different times, and just to different leagues as well. So I think that is one thing I've always loved about him, and I think yes, you can say all the money in the world, but the proof is in the pudding. And you look at the records he set everywhere he goes. He sets points records, he sets goals records, he sets all these records, and I think that is the thing. He wins the trophies. I think that is why I believe that he is the best manager in the world. Even currently, I think he's the best manager in the world outright. I don't see anyone near him, and I think he's made a machine in this Man City side. Even without a number 9, which I still question why they signed a certain player who has number 10 in their side over number 9. I still question that decision. But even even beside that, he still performed. This team has still performed and performed to expectations as always.
Yeah, definitely. So Pep Guardiola for me is just, in my opinion, the greatest coach to ever do it. That's just my opinion, and very phenomenal tactician, very phenomenal footballing mind, and student of the game as well. And he's a genius with regards to how he keeps reinventing himself and how he's able to adapt his game model to certain situations and certain phases during the game as well, And when you have a look at players, one would have never thought that there's two names I have for you. One would have never brought these two names up because you would have thought that it would have been Kevin De Bruyne. You would have thought that it would have been Jack Grealish. But João Cancelo, Bernardo Silva. In Bernardo Silva, you've got a player who was a want away during the transfer window, a player who we thought was going to leave as there were rumors circulating. And then in João Cancelo, this is a player who we've always known that he's a very good player. He's always had the potential, but he's never really kicked on in the sense of playing consecutively and having that run of maybe 15 games in a row and stamping his authority within the team. But these two players have been the best players for Manchester City so far this season, as they've been at the heart of everything good and everything creative for this Manchester City side. What do you make of these two players and how important they've been for Manchester City and how important they'll be to ensuring that they get Manchester City over the line?
I think, just to begin with, João Cancelo. João Cancelo is an exceptional player. I think also best left back in the world if we're talking the beginning of the 21-22 season until now. I think he has simply been exceptional and one of the key players in that Manchester City team. He's been one of the key players in terms of this machine functioning, because he was also a quality last season, but often because he was still predominantly playing out the right, sometimes at the left, but obviously there's still rotation. But I think he's the solid start out of all of them, out of the three fullbacks. Namely Walker and Zinchenko and him included. I think he's solidified his starting place. And when you look at him, you look at the way he contributes. He often plays he plays at his left back and continues and also progress and sometimes inverts, occupies these passes and occupies this space,
the half space,
and is able to put those killer passes, put it here to the winger. And you remember that pass that he gave to Sterling?
Yeah, with the outside of his boot.
It came from around this position and he just put it here. Yeah. Sometimes he's also be able to go high and wide and just put in a quality cross. And I think he's someone that has been exceptional and quality for the team.
Yeah.
And then coming to Bernardo Cavallo Silva, I think he's someone that has also been exceptional. He plays here. He's also actually defensively also, I think people have often underrated that he sometimes even drops into to form a double pivot with Rodri.
Yeah.
At times he has formed a double pivot with Rodri when maybe Grealish or someone, an attacking player, plays here and they drift into the 10. He's also been exceptional in terms of carrying these spaces, playing in the half spaces, being able to provide creativity and also that pressing from the front. He's just been explosive in every way possible, and I think what a quality player. And we've also seen him adding into the scoring side, operating from zone 14, putting in those goals, and I think he's also been a quality player. I think for my money, best midfielder in the Premier League this season.
So let's round it off, Enzo. Let's go to the extra time segment. So I've got a question for you.
Yes.
I've got two questions for you. The first question: who do you think wins the PFA Player of the Year this season?
I think with his current form, even if he goes to AFCON, Mohamed Salah. And I think he's also a strong contender for the Ballon d'Or.
And then, last but not least, the very important question. So, we spoke about Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel. We spoke about Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. We spoke about Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. But the big question is then, which coach will end this season on top of the Premier League and why?
I think on top, I think it will be Manchester City with Josep Guardiola. I think Pep Guardiola, I think the they will just have too much for everyone. I think the depth in numbers, the quality, the tactical versatility, the ability to adjust, and I still think they might even go ahead and even try to sign a striker in January. And if they sign a striker, just a striker who scores an average of just 15 goals a season, that person, with the chances that is created in this team, this person when he comes in here, he just needs to
finish.
Just finish. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah.
And you'll be talking a person who can easily bang 20. If he plays most of the matches, he can easily play 20 goals in that half season.
Yeah.
So I just think that, especially if they had a number 9, namely talking about maybe a Dusan Vlahovic, maybe they can do something there. They kill everyone. And even without that number 9, they've been playing so exceptionally.
Yeah.
And I think Guardiola is known for those runs of 10 to 13 games where they start with straight wins.
And he wraps it up.
I think this
Manchester City to win it. Yeah, so I definitely agree with you on that one. And I just think that the closest competitors are Liverpool. But the biggest issue then with Liverpool is Salah going off to AFCON. And I think that derails Liverpool's progress. I think they'll slow down a bit. But yeah, man, Manchester City for the win, Pep Guardiola to win it again, and keep showing us why he is so phenomenal. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to yet another special episode of Disky Talk with Liolo. I thoroughly enjoyed this special feature-focused episode where we looked at the English Premier League title race. Very interesting times ahead then with regards to how this one plays out, because we do know that the games are coming thick and fast in the festive season, and very interesting to see then who goes on to win the English Premier League. Manchester City. So, Fenzo, thank you very much for joining me, and thoroughly enjoyed having you on the Disky Talk with Liolo channel yet again. And yeah, signing out.